Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wild Chats, your home for everything animals. I am Ryan. That's Maria. And Maria, have you had any pets that were particularly fussy on car rides or needed something special done for them to kind of make them bearable?
Um, Pepita is such a great sport. Like when I first adopted her, a week after I went on a 4-hour car ride, and I was so surprised that she actually didn't need anything. Now, when I would ride with my cats, of course, they needed to be on the dashboard. Like they needed to just be looking at the dashboard and just seeing everything. And it was kind of discombobulating because they will move so much. But once they understood that just sitting there on the dashboard was good enough, they liked it.
Okay. All right. I actually think that might be illegal in some states now.
Probably. And it also was just to take them to the vet, so it wasn't,
Gotcha.
because then
No,
I
no,
will put them in their
seriously.
carrier. And you should protect the animal and not leave them roaming around freely, because if there's an accident, then good
Yeah,
luck finding
it's
your friend again.
exactly. It's dangerous for them. It's dangerous for you if they decide to jump in the way. I'm starting to think because I heard some states were thinking about coming up with laws about that. I don't know if they ever actually put them through. So we'll get the audience involved like immediately in this episode, guys. In the comments, if your state has laws or anything against animals kind of freely roaming around the cabin or how they have to be contained, I'm actually really curious to hear if there's different states doing that. Um, so I had dated somebody that had two dogs. One was a Havanese, and one was like half Havanese and like half Shih Tzu.
Woo!
Um, but oh god, that dog was a nightmare. I love all animals, but man, that dog pushed me.
Like those Shih Tzus, those little Shih Tzus.
Oh man, it was just she would bark and bark and bark, and it was just this high pitched bark, um, and it was constant. I mean, constant. And she would follow you everywhere you would go, and if you were doing something and she wanted attention, it was just yip 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 yip, yip the whole time. And you're
Oh,
just like, okay, this is getting, but it's not my dog, so it's like it wasn't my job to train the dog. I came along at a point, just like it's such a weird dynamic, but the dog was so spoiled that the only way we would take drives from California to Vegas and we could get the dog to calm down is I had an old SUV and we would kick the back seats down. So we
okay,
had an
awesome.
entire back section and there's toys and there's blankets and there's just everything. And it was like the only way that we could keep her like entertained enough or
We need
calm.
to go from California to Washington D.C. right now.
I mean, but then even still, every hour or so, she wanted the attention, so she liked to sit in the cup holder and stuff. Certain animals are just not a joy to travel with.
Yes,
It's kind of like roommates. You could be really good friends, and then when you become roommates, you despise them, or you get along even better. They're just too. They're unique circumstances and situations that sometimes change
for
the
sure.
dynamics. Yeah.
Mhm.
So today we decided to have some fun, and we're gonna do animals that they're riding in style. Some of them are, they got their own way of traveling and their own
With some
preferred.
style of whatever. We don't know what kind of style.
Might be a funky style, might be a good style, might be a what do you think in style. But these guys are they're riding in style. So
Not in fashion, just to make a difference.
yeah, if you've ever been to Southeast Asia, India, other parts of the world, they have this amazing ability to pack more bodies on a scooter than I have ever seen in my life. Like I have literally been driving down the street and I've seen like dog, baby, dad, cat on the back, child, mother, another child on one scooter, and you're like, what?
How? How? This is like, instead of the clown car, it's called the clown scooter.
I don't know, but it's not that uncommon. Like it's to see three or four, and then I've seen animals thrown in. I've seen dogs like balancing on the foothold, like big dogs
Yes,
balance in the
yes.
foot area of the
I've seen
scooter.
that. I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So these guys, this guy, he had to go to work, wanted to take his dogs with him, had to load up materials, dogs. He's a master at this, clearly. He's done this job before. This is how you do it. So you got your
Okay,
bunk,
let's watch it.
everything you need, and you load up at the store, and then you load the woofers up.
Oh, he's like asking for reassurance. Look how
Uh-huh.
cute.
Well, once
Like,
they
come on,
get
people.
rolling, these guys look like they've been doing this for years. This does not look like a first time event, but I don't know how you train the dogs to do this to begin with. Like, I would be too afraid to be like, okay, hey, dog, sit on this bucket and stay still while we're going 30 miles an hour. You got it down yet?
Yeah, like you don't even have a way to grasp the texture or anything. And they seem young. Like you can tell the ones he's taking the longest with, the black one and this brown one, they look young, like they're still learning. Because the others are like, get moving, get moving.
Yeah, yeah. Or they just got on first and they're kind of like, come on, man, let's go. I'm ready for a ride. I want a car drive. Let's go. Oh, wait, scooter drive. Let's go.
Oh, he's being so sweet.
He is. He is. And I mean, clearly this isn't like an everyday occasion because everybody around is watching very, very intently. There was like a scooter that went past them behind them that actually like was taking the video. This you see pretty frequently, like the dog in front and then the owner.
I love how the dog is like, I don't know if I want to do this today.
Uh-huh,
Like,
uh-huh. But the nice thing is when they get going,
oh my gosh.
they're ready
Okay.
to roll. They look like they've been doing this forever. I like the fluffy one on the outside.
I would think that's actually extremely illegal.
This is Southeast Asia or subcontinent Africa or whatever. Like I saw somebody was wearing a headpiece, so it could be Malaysia.
Okay.
But because if you see, there was a girl. Where is she?
Well, you can see the words on the
Oh yeah, let's see. I don't.
there is a like a little store or something going on.
Yeah,
If you go even
too.
yeah, I was trying to figure out where these people are
This might
from.
be Indonesia. This might be Indonesia.
From
All right,
the
guys.
beginning, let me scrub a little bit because
You're at the
he
mercy of
right
Lisa.
there.
Yeah, that's the girl I was talking about, which makes me
I
think
was
it's
just looking at the writing, seeing if I recognize any
in Tempe, but it's not. Yeah, it's not Thai or Vietnamese writing. But with that one girl with the orange headscarf on, I'm thinking it's Malaysia or Indonesia.
Okay.
But again, until we get ourselves a live stream going, I'm just going to keep telling you guys in the comments if you guys take guesses on where you think that video clip took place, because I want to hear guesses. I'm going Malaysia or Indonesia. I couldn't read the writing on some of the signs. Anybody that reads Malay or Indonesian, Indonesia is really hard because each island has its own culture. Like Bali is Hindu basically, and the rest of Indonesia is Muslim for the most part.
I was just gonna say, all the friends I had from Indonesia were Muslim.
Yeah, I think it's the largest Muslim population in the entire world, like per country. And people don't think about that when we think of that. We think of like the Middle East and stuff. But I don't read or recognize either of those languages, so maybe somebody else can kind of do some video forensics and teach Maria how it's done, because she needs.
Speaking of video forensics,
Okay.
we're talking about in a couple of videos ago about what animal would I be if I could choose to be a marine animal. Yes. And I said I have a T-shirt of an octopus, so I wore it today just to in honor of that conversation. Sorry, this way. In honor of that conversation. This one is from a research facility who was founded by a lady called Eugene Clark, and she's known as the Shark Lady. So
nice. Mm-hmm. Is it because she likes to swim with sharks, or does she just have really bad teeth? Sorry, Eugene. I'm poking fun at you. We're just having a little levity on the show. If you watch this for some reason, I apologize now. Don't sue me, bro.
I think Eugene, she already crossed the rainbow bridge, but her legacy has been kept, and all the work and the research she did to protect animals, sea animals, has been really, really, really good. So yeah. So I had to wear it just in honor of her, and the T-shirts made out of like bottles. Plastic bottles and stuff. So it's pretty fascinating.
So you got a little like Coca-Cola on your back, and then like some Sun-Kissed and like a
there's some Pepsi and Coca-Cola and Sprite and maybe some water bottles, since that seems to be actually one of the most contaminant bottles, because a lot of people take water to the beach and those who never clean up.
There's a lot of stuff we do when we go to the beach that probably aren't very good. Until the first time I actually saw a turtle that got trapped in a 6-pack ring, I was always like, whatever. No one's they're not dumb enough to do that. And then once you see it for the first time, you're like, and then it was since it was a baby, so it kept developing, and then it actually was like torsioning into the shell and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's once you see that the first time, it's like, okay, it's not that hard for me to like just break the ends open with my hands and make sure just in case nobody gets.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
The
definitely.
caps, the cap rings is the biggest culprit because a lot of people recycle,
Uh-huh.
but we are not taught to remove the rings because also they're very hard to remove. Once
Yeah.
you crack the seal,
Yep.
then it's just very hard to remove,
Hmm.
and that also is very contaminated. But you see nowadays a lot of products, like if you go to the beach, you will see a lot of the straws are now plant-based, and a lot of things are moving to plant-based. The things, they don't last very long time, so if you
Yeah.
keep your cup and keep the straw in for a while, then it will disintegrate. It's actually pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I used a straw. Like, I don't go to Starbucks or any like coffee joints and get frozen drinks, and they don't really, yeah, Slurpees and brain freeze and all. I can't really like think of the last time I used a straw for anything.
But like when you go to a restaurant, I don't like drinking from the cup because if you notice, most people grab cups from the rim when they hand them to you.
Hmm.
So I ever since for a, so now I either don't drink anything because I will order water and I don't drink it, or I will just clean the rim, or if I know the straw is biodegradable, then I will take it.
No, no, that can't be true, Maria. I'm sorry. I've never I was a server for several years. I've never picked up a glass like, here, ma'am, here's your glass of water.
Not like that, but like this when they hand it to you or they grab it like that.
No, you
Yeah, they
grab
do. Pay attention next time. They will grab it too close to the rim.
it. Okay,
So yeah,
okay.
I'm like, no, thank you.
You're
Especially
concerned
the big heavy ones.
this, like way up at the top, and then they set it on the table. Like, really? You have servers that grab glass? I've never. Okay. Oh, okay. Hey guys, have you ever seen anybody do that? Comment down below. Man, this would have been the perfect live stream. I actually want some interaction and feedback on this one.
I agree with you.
What the good live streams would have been until the conversations start rounding out, and you're like, oh man, we need more people in on this one.
Eventually we'll get there. And
Yeah.
another thing, talking about turtles, that is fascinating. There are many beaches around the world that corner that have volunteers who keep an eye on turtles and where they lay their eggs,
Yeah.
and they will immediately rope off
Yeah.
the areas. And I went to a beach not too long ago where you could still see the turtles
Flipper
prints.
marks. Uh-huh.
Yes, as he went in, delivered the eggs, and left, and he was already roped. Like
Nice.
it was done right away because he had rained the day before, so you knew it was fresh, and they had
There,
already cornered it.
there was
I
some,
was so pleased.
I can't think of
And
where.
they will literally just put 3 or 4 sticks
Yeah,
and pink
yeah,
tape.
I've seen it. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of where it was. It might have actually been in Florida, but it was like the first time in like 10 years that a sea turtle had actually laid eggs on this beach because the water warming or the currents or whatever it might be. But yeah, and there was somebody there. I mean, obviously it was a photography moment and a hey, things are changing if they're coming back to these beaches and laying eggs here. But like you said, to your point, there was somebody even on a beach that they don't even go to anymore. As soon as someone saw it, someone called someone who called someone, and someone got down there, and because they don't lay them very deep, so you could easily step on them, and then that's it for the most part.
and
So
going with that, what you're saying, I went to a beach several years ago, and this boy was jumping the rope, and he was having a great time. I
yeah,
don't think he had a clue what was going on, but I'm like perplexed, thinking, where are your parents? How come
yeah,
they're not telling you? And I very kindly, in my most teacher voice, which the kind teacher, not the yelly teacher voice, not a mother superior voice, which
okay,
I do have. But I'm telling the boy, like, hey, this is why we don't do it. I know it's fun, but this is why we don't do it. So we're talking about the eggs. We're
yeah,
talking about how fragile and temperature changes. And it was just such a nice moment because he also took it very well. And I was very glad because he only looked like he was 12, 13. So it's a little
That's an
bizarre
age where
age.
you're doing your own thing at that point. I'd ride my bike to the beach at 12 or 13 and not. That's not a where your parents kind of thing.
You're right, but again, since I usually think of it as a touristic area, I always think they'll be with their parents. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, how come nobody's saying anything either?
And
But whatever.
maybe his parents were there and they're just, sometimes you go to the beach, you need to relax and you're just happy your kid is occupying themselves and you don't really care what they're doing as long as they're not endangering their lives. And you're like, whatever, let little Timmy do his thing. We can relax and enjoy ourselves. So let Timmy go. Parenting is hard, Maria. It's hard.
I know I have a Pepita, and I tell you, I don't know how it will be with a two-legged creature. It's enough with a four-legged one.
And it's the other way too, because sometimes animal parents don't have the easiest of times either. And that's a little teaser, guys, for our next episode. Animal parents is coming up.
Animal parents coming up.
I have the clips in my mind because I was just going through the video, so I'm like, even animals have a hard time being parents sometimes. Even they're just at some point like, I'm out, I'm done. I don't care anymore.
That is awesome. Looking forward to that, by the way.
Yes, but coming back to our dogs that we're riding on our buckets. The nice thing is, if you do this long,
That was a bucket list.
you saw that was on their bucket list, and they got to check it off. Riding on a bucket on a scooter. Yes, it's done now. But you saw the one dog in front. And I said I kind of see that frequently when people have big dogs. If it doesn't have a foot place for the dogs,
Yes.
they go up on the gas tank and they put their hands. And then they're on the gas tank and you're driving as they go. But once they get good, and they've been doing it a while, sometimes you don't even need to steer anymore. You just let them drive.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Like,
Hello.
hey.
No, thank you.
Hey.
But you can see that the owner is actually quite responsible with it, because even though it was letting the dog, quote unquote, drive.
No, he's driving.
Still...
Look at that. That wasn't even the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Look, his hands are on both sides, giving him a nice shiatsu massage. He's getting a left, right side shiatsu while he drives. You got to have him comfy. See?
Hello. Look, no, the dog is like...
But the dog looked over his shoulder, saw the van, didn't switch lanes. He just pointed out where the brake was. See? He just sampled the brake for him.
That dog is having a blast. Like, yes, you can see that dog was really enjoying his moment, and I love that. He really liked it. He didn't have to click the bell icon.
No, I love that the guy, it's almost like he taps the brake to like the brake's right there, and then you actually see, even though he taps it, pulls his hand back, does it again to kind of make sure he's there, but then the dog moves his hand to the brake. Did you see that?
I did. I'm not expecting this, of course. No, but yes, I did see
but the guy did it, and then the dog actually slides his hand back, which I thought was really cool. I was like, okay, all right, let's see.
That's adorable.
Buckets. So this is pre-learning to drive, and then we get post learning to drive. But you can see, right?
Post learning to drive. I love it. And the guy is just chilling. That guy is having so much fun. That guy is having so much fun. I love it. I love it. And I like how both of us are moving our heads so we can see the screen.
Yeah, I know.
I just realized that we both were like... That was funny.
The tricks of the trade. Yeah, you gotta. Okay. Well, we'll break down what happened there in the backstage after party show, because I know exactly what Maria was doing, because I was doing the same thing.
That's why I'm laughing, because we're both.
Yeah. We'll get into that. So the next thing is, if you got a pickup truck or a car or something that isn't a scooter, you don't have to quite be as creative. Upside downside animals in like, I had 2 little dogs in the back of an SUV, so they couldn't really like cause a lot of havoc or damage. Didn't weigh a lot, wasn't hard to maintain them, but sometimes you can max out the towing capacity of a pickup truck just by trying to let your animals take a nice ride around town in style, of course.
Are
And
you talking about like did the guy draw a pig?
or maybe he intentionally knew that his animals like to have a little bounce, a little rhythm. Like to,
A little
like to,
bounce is the
like to see
poor
the, rhythm,
animal.
the scenery, little dances as you drive down the road. These guys are just they're getting a little cardio bounce in. It's like the trampoline going. That's riding in style. I'm
That
sorry.
is adorable.
That
Look at it go.
that is riding in style right there.
I like how the little white sheep is like, or goat. I can't tell. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Like this is above and beyond ridiculous. That poor guy is like, oh no.
He's like,
I
I'm
hope
not.
this guy doesn't break too much or I'm gonna break for a second.
He's literally hiding in shame. Like, I'm not friends with these people. I do not know them. You do not see me. I'm down here.
I think that was probably the safer spot for it. Well, I would have thought the front was a safer spot. At least you're in between a little bit because it's, well, I guess braking,
That's what I was
but
thinking.
eating. So either way, that poor little guy.
Yeah, you got to jam the brakes. It's so when I took my motorcycle safety course, when I started riding a motorcycle the very first time, that's one of the things they tell you. They're like, you can brake much faster than you can accelerate. If you need to get out of trouble, don't roll the throttle and try to accelerate. Hit the brakes and just, even though the downside is you don't know what's going on behind you or how the people behind you are going to react. But if you're really in trouble, you hit the brakes. You don't try to accelerate. And that was the example he was using. If you've got semi trucks that are coming together, they can't see you. They're so long. Don't try to accelerate in between them and pop out in front. Just hit the brakes and back out of the situation.
Especially because usually cars also keep their distance with the truck. So you probably will be safer braking because you're still not gonna be hit.
But
And
even
yeah,
then,
also the violation there is you're probably between lanes.
yeah.
So
I mean,
you're in the white lane. So you're also violating the law there.
sometimes though it's a truck that's actually merging onto the freeway.
Ooh,
Because there's a lot of, when you're in bigger cities, it's 4-lane
good
highways.
point.
So you could be in I guess it'd be the third lane, truck in the fourth lane and second lane, and then
Good
second lane
point.
coming over.
I didn't think about that.
That's
Yeah.
frequently more often than not what happens. I mean, the nice thing with the bike is you usually have the out of, you've got the side for like cars that break down and stuff. So if you really have to, you can.
Yeah, you can maneuver around. You
Yeah.
definitely could.
It's part of the fun of
Wow,
having
that's
it.
so scary. That's one thing I've been told that I'm a good copilot, but I would not drive a motorcycle. But I'm a good copilot.
The key part, and some people that don't take like I think it's a great idea they make you take a motorcycle safety class.
They
Like
should.
you don't know how to operate it, but you get so many little tips that you don't think about. And I think one of the most like impactful ones that I still use, because it works for like even jet skis and other stuff like this, is if you have a passenger, especially if you're at high speed, you have to tell them, always look through my inside shoulder. If I'm turning left, your head needs to be on that side. If we're turning right, your head needs to be on that side. Because what happens is if they're not and they're looking over the top, your balance is shot. So you're trying to turn, you've got speed, they're fighting you, and then maybe if they go with it all of a sudden, and you know it instinctively, and most passengers
I was
know
just
it,
gonna say that.
but some people, like, just by saying it, it also makes them more comfortable, and then they'll lean with you a little bit more. And
Yeah,
now
because most people feel like, oh my God, the motorcycle's gonna fall, and if I go with it. But usually what I do is because I used to do horseback riding, you become one with the animal.
yeah,
So when you're horseback riding and they're taking a turn or something, you kind of learn to just go with it. Just
yeah,
don't, yeah. So it was really fun because just that natural instinct of horseback riding was what made me a good bike co-pilot, if that made any sense.
and you
Mhm.
do. You have to be interconnected. I think I've been horse riding like twice, and I'm pretty good. And I know this is the problem for everybody, is what somebody told me. But when they hit that like middle trot speed, like I can't, like I'm okay walking and I'm okay running. But when they hit that in between, and my buddy had rode horses like his whole life growing up, and he's like, okay, what you do is you take the balls of your feet in the stirrups and you push them forward and you slam your heels down. and
Mm-hmm.
that'll plant your butt into the seat. And then with your toes forward, it gives you the leverage to stay down.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not going to be perfect, but that's going to be the most comfortable, like non, like where's my dirt bike kidney belt? Why didn't I wear it to ride this horse?
You're not bull riding, so you don't have to, but
Yeah,
actually, because I used to
to do.
do the fancy one, so we actually would, with the horse will trot, so we'll just follow
Oh, yeah, I'm
the horse
talking the like
movement.
jog speed of a horse, not like the dressage pat
Hmm.
pat 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 horses.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun. Horseback riding is so much fun. You do
yeah.
learn about how powerful horses are. My brother, when he was a kid, got into a horse and the horse didn't like him and
Mhm.
literally dropped to the ground and rolled to the side. And my brother,
Oh, that's how you break a leg.
yeah, he he took his time before he laid down, so he gave my brother time to get off. But then he's like, okay, fine. It
Okay.
was so funny.
Yeah. No,
We were kids, so it was funny.
horses have personality. Like because again, my buddy that rode horses all the time, he was telling me I think it was like Abyssinians and stuff like that are like really like
Okay.
stubborn horses. It might have been
Mhm.
Arabians. It was an A horse that they're just really these A horses are A horses.
Such
but
an a horse.
but he's like, yeah, he's like they're just stubborn horses until you can set up that hierarchy of I'm in charge. They tend to kind of want to do their own thing, and you have to kind of. Now he had a strategy. I don't know if I agree with it, and I'm not a horse person. I know horses have really thick skulls. He's like, I literally, if the horse that I'm trying to deal with, the horses he knows, horses that are stubborn by nature. He's like, I would actually punch them like above their eyes, like in their temples, because that would be like okay. And at that moment, they would know who was in charge.
Oh wow.
And because their skulls are so thick, and he's not like full on as hard as he possibly can. He's a bigger guy. I mean, he punches pretty damn hard, but that was his way of
It's
saying,
like by
look,
experience, from experience.
I some
He
road.
punches really hard.
No, we never got into it, but I've seen other people.
I see
But
the unfortunate souls who got in trouble with
yeah,
him.
but it was interesting because I was like, I don't know enough about horses. I'm like, it seems like animal cruelty, but if it works and they can barely feel it because their skulls are so thick and there's not a lot of nerves there, I was like, I guess if it gets the job done, who am I to question?
When I think of animal training, there are two theories, or
Okay,
from the branch of, in my opinion, not an expert, but based on animal behavior and psychology. In my opinion, I came up with this one, so please tear it
okay,
apart or whatever, guys. But there are two theories, in my opinion. You can either break a horse, like a break a behavior,
yeah,
or break their soul.
okay,
And there's a huge difference. So if you break the behavior or break their soul, you're going to get a completely different horse. They're
yeah,
still going to be manageable, but to what extent? To the extent whereby if you're in need of help, will the horse help you or will it run away? And I think that's the psychology. When you break the horse behavior, you're going to get a nicer horse, a calmer horse that will be in sync with you than when they're afraid of you.
and that was definitely the goal. I could tell because there also is like an alpha aspect. Kind of when you get a pack of dogs, you need to be the alpha. If you're not perceived as the alpha, you will never train your dogs properly, and you're gonna
I
have them.
agree with you. Even
And
with Pepita.
just hearing him explain it, that was definitely his philosophy. Was like, I need to establish who is in charge. If not, he will not do what I want him to
Oh
do
yeah.
the entire time and forever. Like he
Mhm.
needs to know who's in charge, and once that's established, you build a good rapport and relationship. But for a large horse, because they weren't like Clydesdales, but they were larger breed horses we were talking about. It's hard for them to see you as the alpha when they could just easily, run right over you, knock you over, or
Hold on.
keep
This is my paw
you
thing.
down on the ground. I mean, your brother.
Yeah. Yeah, my family used to have a lot of horses. So my mom growing up, my grandpa got a horse and he said that nobody could ride it. Like the horse was awful to everyone. The day my mom met the horse, it's like they both connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like the horse was waiting for her to come. and he was so pleasant to her, and he was so sweet to her, but nobody else could ride it. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, because the horse was only rideable for one person, he had to get rid of him.
Yeah.
My mom was so heartbroken, but my grandpa said, I need to be able to have a horse that everybody could ride because I can't have 20 horses.
Yeah.
So that was very unfortunate. And I always wonder what happened to that horse. Who
Mhm.
will he ever feel more comfortable with someone else or not? Or
Well,
was,
your mom didn't live there either, so it's not like she was a member of the family and then he got sent away. He only probably met her X amount of time, so it probably wasn't that.
yeah, but like when you bond with an animal, you
Yes.
just or with a person, like
Yeah.
you just bond. That's it. There is no explanation or reason why. You just know that that's my friend.
No, and I've
So
gotten that before. I mean, it's so freaking. I always think it's funny when you hear somebody tell like, "Oh, they never like guys," or they never get along with X and Y," and it's like you don't ever see that because it's your introduction to the animal and you guys are connecting. And you're like, "What do you mean? How could this kind, loving, connected animal not get along with guys? I mean, look at us here. There's just no way that this animal doesn't like men, doesn't like tall people, doesn't like whatever the classification is."
yes.
The thing with dogs. I mean, they're a lot of animals don't like a particular male or female, or don't like people of certain heights, or don't like children, or
Or
only
caps. Caps
children.
is a huge issue. Like caps or hats or
Uh-huh.
Pepita will react to people with weird hair colors.
Uh-huh.
It was it was really actually very humorous to see her who she will bark at, because she wouldn't bark because you're one age or what. There was no reason or rhyme, but the one thing I did notice is if she didn't like what the person was wearing or the hair.
Okay.
It was
But
just so bizarre.
you don't know. It's sometimes it is their own quirks and sometimes it's training, but there's a dog across the hall from me that I was getting along with him a little bit. He was a little kind of tentative, and we started a bond just a little bit, but he was just very. I think he was a Shih Tzu also. I think me and Shih Tzus maybe just are not a thing. But
But
then
she
we were
was
getting along okay, and I went to wave goodbye, and I raised my hand, and he just starts barking, and the owner was like, "Yeah, he doesn't like when people raise their hands." And then something else had happened, and she's like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't like when people do this." And it ended up being like all these behaviors that like he's cool until there's this certain
triggered.
behavior. And then just the other day they were washing him, and like he's like, "Yeah, he doesn't like to be washed." I'm like, "Okay, a lot of dogs don't like to be washed, but there's."
Yeah.
And then again, it falls into that: is it a dog personality thing, a weird quirk thing, or a training thing? And it's like, I don't know. But
Yeah,
some
that's always so bizarre. That's always so, because also with a rescue dog like Pepita, when I rescue her, she was very strong-headed, and that's one of the reasons why I named her Pepita, because she thought she was the pumpkin.
uh-huh.
Like she thought she was a pumpkin, yet she was the seed. For most of you who may know what I mean or don't, pumpkin seeds are called also pepitas. So I was playing with that because she thought she was the big kahuna here.
Yeah.
So, but it was just very funny.
So you named her Pumpkin Seed, and then it turned out as a little bit of time went on, you realized she was the pumpkin, and she actually is in charge.
Kind of, yes. I actually have a cute picture. One Halloween, she was wearing a pumpkin suit. It was adorable.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. And then as you went door to door for candy and you said, "This is Pepita," they just thought it was a play on the costume and not her actual name. Lady, you are way too old to be trick or treating. This dog is not pulling it off with just this little nickname cutesy thing here. I'm sorry. You get one Tootsie Roll. That's it. You don't get the good stuff.
That's hilarious. That's actually really funny. Yeah, it's always fascinating why you will name a pet or not, but whatever.
And certain animals, you kind of have to let them just be themselves and do their own thing. I think dogs take a different kind of training than cats. Cats kind of like to do their own thing. But you were talking about liking to have your cats on the dashboard and stuff, and I think that could kind of be a problem if they're sliding around, if they know how to stay stationary. But sometimes animals will find their own little niches in the cars as they go for a drive. But sometimes those
Okay.
niches maybe aren't the best for safety, even though the animal likes it a ton. As like sometimes when you get a kid,
How you doing, bud?
Oh my gosh.
Where it
That
likes
is not safe at all, but that cat looks so well, actually it doesn't look that bad though.
super comfy.
He's not interfering with anything.
No, I don't
You
know
know,
what.
it's not safe if you push the brake, that cat is flying. But the owner is clearly having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think this is pretty adorable.
It is, but I see that cat sliding through at some point, and then the reaction is to like try to catch it, and then you're not paying attention to the road anymore.
I think here's the thing, once you have pets or children, you kind of end up doing a little bit of everything. And because the cat was also on the peripherals, like lower peripherals.
Yeah, but it's right by the shifts but you don't use those that frequently, so. Uh,
Yeah, it was just you know. If
we'll see.
it's not raining, then you don't need that right one.
Uh-huh.
And is the left is free, so if you need to turn left or right, then the clicker
Yeah.
is there. So I don't
Yeah.
think it was that bad. That was pretty adorable.
I
I
mean,
mean, I still wouldn't do it with my cat though.
okay. Well, this will be the interesting one. We'll ask you about the next one though. So if you had if you were in a DIY mood and you had some masks left over that you weren't using anymore,
Okay.
and you wanted to create something to where your cat could be enjoy the drive, but also still be safe, would you come up with an idea like, I don't know, something like this?
Well, I don't think that's a mask,
It's
by
not a
the
cooling
way.
mask, but I'm just thinking like you could, you could recycle one. If you're in a DIY mood, you could make this.
I actually had one of those for my cats. Those are really fun. That must have been an RV and they're just traveling around, or because if it were a bus, it will have the thing in the middle and it has a TV on top. So I bet you this is an RV and
Okay.
people are just traveling cross country. That is pretty adorable.
I can't tell if it's meant to be a dream catcher or a cat toy above him. It could be either, probably.
I think that's meant to be a dream catcher, but a very homemade one. And it looks
Slash
fun
cat toy.
though. It's kind of cool that they made their own dream catcher going on there.
It's got like feathers and stuff. Like I'm thinking cat toy. I'm sorry. I'm voting cat toy.
That
In a dream catcher,
ain't catching no toy, no dreams.
but cat toy. Maybe it's a cat
Cat toy.
dream catcher. There you go. Cat dream catcher.
We'll go with cat dream catcher. I like that.
So
I
how were
think it's a dream catcher, but whatever.
were your cats pretty good? They would just like sit on the dash and like how would they stay if you were like if you had to like turn or what was their strategy?
So the cat that I drove around with the most was a rescue cat that I caught that I saved from a highway,
Okay.
a ramp on a highway in Michigan, and
Isn't
she
that how
was
you
really.
Pepita?
Pardon?
Isn't that how Pepita was found also?
No, she was dropped at the shelter. Like the owner just
Okay,
is
I
an
thought she
owner
was found on
surrender.
the highway also. Okay.
Yeah. But this cat, her name was Furgie.
Okay.
I named her Furgie because she was just so prissy, and she had she was a calico cat and her back looked like wings, her patterns.
Okay.
So beautiful. Anyway, Fergie, I found her on the highway and we had to stop and just wait for like 5 cars because it was the ramp into the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait for cars to drive past her. And it was the
Oh.
worst 5 seconds of my life. I don't think it was more than that, but the worst 5 seconds of my life because you can tell people wanted to stop, but they saw us stopping. So they were, but they were very people were very careful. I was very grateful.
Yeah.
But Fergie used to like to, when I will take her to the vet or events, she liked to be on the dashboard, like just tucked into the dashboard.
Just so basically it was her way of going, you know what, before I was found, you guys tried to run me over. Now I can view you from behind glass and you guys can't get me nanny haha.
Nee, ha.
Okay.
She was found full of tar. Like you can tell somebody literally just threw her and she rolled down the hill and there was tar on her and has been rain. It was an awful situation. It really was an awful situation. But yes, she looked healthy. So I don't know how she had tar all over her because the road was not under construction. I don't know, but she was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If I find a picture, I'll post it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we'll post it on Patreon in the free thing, so you guys just can see. But she was adorable, Fergie.
That's probably actually a good point, guys. When I keep like comments below and stuff, wherever you guys are catching us, there may or may not be comments if you're getting us on a podcast or something like that. What we ended up doing, because the important part to us is to build a community, is we created like social post areas everywhere, just so you guys can talk wherever you're comfortable with. So whether that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and then Patreon does have a free section, so you guys don't have to sign up for anything. You can just go over to Patreon, and we'll have, when we talk about questions or ask questions or want comments about stuff or talk about photos, we post it all over there. Um, so sometimes you can kind of be rolling around town, but you're still doing your own thing all at the same time. And
Okay.
you're like, you know what? I'm not feeling the wheels today. I don't really need a vehicle. I
I'm
think
not wheeling the wheels today.
I think I'm all right, but I still want to hang out with you guys. So tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and just I'm gonna flap my wings over here. I'll just keep up with you guys,
Oh my
and
God.
and we can just hang out
No,
this way because I don't really want
no,
to be in the car.
no, 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 no. Oh, that is scary and beautiful at the same time.
Why is that scary to you?
Because not too long ago, I was driving we were driving on the highway, and it wasn't a dog. It's a breed of dog that is very, it's not a, whatever. Anyway, he actually was sweeping through the highway, and he actually ended up hitting a car window,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
almost caused a car accident. So to me, just seeing that, it reminded me of what had just happened. And it
Okay.
was right in front of us, so we saw the whole thing. And all of a
Gotcha.
sudden, we see a creature flying and glass shattering. And thank goodness the person who was driving didn't swerve or really caused a fatality. The only one, unfortunately, who had the brunt of the damage was the bird.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's why I looked at it. I'm like, no, I'm
you're
still traumatized.
I'm like, I'm looking at your face while you're watching it, and I'm like, I just think this is the coolest thing ever. This duck is like having like the bird, whatever it is having like the best time racing and can easily pull up or away, or like he's not in any danger. He's got his own lane. He's staying right in the middle. And I'm
That's
looking.
true. And the truck driver is keeping its distance. And what you
Yeah,
don't want is the animal to not be seen by someone, but he's so big, these little, he looked like a goose to me. Um,
could be. Let's
he
see.
could be seen. It really wasn't.
The only thing I was concerned about was like a current catching
Yeah.
him, basically. Let's see. They're
No, he
probably.
seems to be doing great. I wonder who he's following.
That's what I mean. That was the only part I got nervous when he kind of shifted from the truck over to the car really quick because it looked like he caught the air current from the cab because the air kind of hits the cab and then comes back out for the trailer. Uh,
Yes, 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 yes.
but you're right. That does look like a goose of some sort.
Not an expert on varieties of fowl,
Come on.
but it's always fun to try to guess.
Scientific name, Maria. Now, do it.
Barnacle goose.
That's not the scientific name. That's the English name. I want the
Hey, be
Latin.
grateful that I know. Okay, we can say, which is not, by the way, but I'm really happy that I know this. Wawa is a chain of restaurants that have a gas station,
Okay.
and the name comes from the native, I think it's Native American name for the Canada goose,
Okay.
also a little town in Pennsylvania. So there you go, your fact fueled information.
Okay. It's also the sound a baby makes when it won't stop crying. It's just, wah, wah,
I
wah, wah.
was thinking of water, like Wawa,
Yeah, that's
like
okay.
I want some
Just the
Wawa.
wah-wah part. See, you were triggered by your previous duck experience. I had to deal through a screaming child very recently, so when I hear wah wah, I just cringed a little bit, like, oh God, no. No
Isn't
screaming.
that amazing what triggers people? Like what makes somebody just react? Like my first instinct was, oh my gosh, he's gonna, you know, succumb to the airway current and off he goes. But you were triggered by the Wawa story and the child crying.
Yeah, we all make our own connections. I'm sure and I don't think about that. Like I have my funny take of what I think when I see the clip. You have your general reaction. of how you respond when you see it, but I wonder how many times people have watched our videos and maybe had a reaction. I don't know if this is PSA. I haven't created the PSA drop. We
We
gotta.
need that. Dun, dun,
We're gonna have
dun.
yeah.
PSA.
We always do.
Dun, dun,
No,
dun.
that's too airporty. So PSA for everybody's public service announcement. I'm sure most of you know what that is. Maria learned it in episode 1 of our podcast. It was new to her. So it's become a little thing for us. PSA this, PSA that. We want to teach people something. But the
Dun,
nice
dun,
thing
dun.
that I'm looking forward to is when you start building a community around your podcast, it's whatever your podcast is about is usually the people that are going to come into the community and start interacting and stuff. And I think the beauty that we have is usually people that are into animals are usually really caring people and kind people in general. We all have our own stuff with maybe different types of animals that we've had bad experiences with, or maybe like I love all animals, but I'm definitely a dog person. Like if I walk past a dog, you're just going to see a huge smile on my face like every time.
Mhm.
Cats I enjoy, but they don't have that same like visceral, like I just saw a baby smile on my face kind of thing. But the nice thing is the group in general, the community will be built out of people. So I'm not as worried about some of the arguments or the fights or the disagreements and stuff. But the one thing I want to mention is I want people to feel free. If you had a bad experience or a weird experience or one of the clips triggers you, tell us. Because sometimes
Yes, that's a very good point. I love that.
and sometimes you're not the only one that has that response. I think there's so many times in life that we're like, oh, you think you're the only one, or you think it's a weird quirk of yourself. And I think if you share the story in a supportive community, you're really doing someone else a favor because it'll give them a perspective. Or maybe I never thought about the fact that snakes do XYZ. I better be more careful. Or I need to care about snakes more because of XYZ. I mean, I have friends that are huge reptile pet people, and I don't think I really appreciated reptiles as a pet until I heard their perspectives and the things they liked about having those animals as pets.
Wow.
Yeah, so I really want people to be able to share, and I want people to feel free to write. We ask questions and stuff. Go ahead and go for, please answer those. But you can just share to share, because that's the fun part of the community aspect.
Yeah, but to build the community, we really do want to know also how you feel about things. So, like you said, I really like that because honestly, I like to dissect videos and I like to look at it from all points of views. But that doesn't mean I've seen all the points of view. So you will see me conversing about, oh, I think this is exactly what happened, or this is what I think based on what I know. But we don't know everything, guys. So it will be very fun.
Especially until we get a live chat, we have to just kind of do it via comments until we get a group going for live chats, because we'll start them as soon as there's enough of us to get it going. But I love to hear, like, because there's things that you see that I don't see. And I'd like to hear what other people see, because sometimes maybe there's an aspect that we don't see. And then the cool thing is, if that becomes a conversational thread, someone's like, no, that might be this, or did you notice that duck's wing was actually damaged, or whatever it is, we can jump back on and post the videos in the chats, or we can actually, we don't have to go through and watch the entire podcast. We don't care about that, guys. We hope
we want the community, yeah.
And you want to watch it, but we'll just post that individual clip and we can break down and freeze frame stuff or any of that kind of thing. So,
and also we may have more of a conversation on our post. What is it that we gave it a name?
Backstage party?
Backstage. But it was like,
it's not party.
I wrote it somewhere. Backstage. Here I am with my own little papers as I take notes about fun things. Behind the scene. Yeah. Backstage.
Okay, it's a mix of that. We haven't solided it on it. I'm in favor of backstage, behind the scenes.
You want it backwards?
Yeah, I just like the backstage aspect. I don't know. What we're talking about, guys, is after the show is done, actually, we do another show for, anywhere like 10, 15 minutes tops, where sometimes we break down the show. Sometimes we just keep conversations going. But that's all over at Patreon, but it is under the subscription area. It's the bottom subscription. It's only $5, but that's one of the big things over there is we do the behind the scenes backstage show after every episode. So we'll continue some of the conversations. So
we'll continue being a wild chat. In that case, we have no clue what we're really talking about. We may talk about the video or just share something.
We got into favorite foods, and then we had a Disneyland bit, and they just go everywhere. The fun part is we can relax because it's since it's over there and it's subscribers and it's a little more limited. We're able to open up a little bit more. We end up sharing probably more personal stories and stuff than the show. Our personalities are exactly the same, but but the conversations are a little looser. I could stand up and open my window as I start to sweat or whatever it might be. But guys, we're just telling you stories and giving you info. We're not showing you anything fun. Unfortunately, my duck was my last video. I feel like we need to go out with something fun. I'm gonna find just a random video that was supposed to be
A random video.
a random video that's supposed to be in another video. And then we're gonna go from there. Oh no, you know what? I'm gonna call up an old favorite of mine. Oh wait, this one may or may not play.
Shall I guess which one?
Oh, you want to take a guess? What do you got?
One of my favorite clips that you have shown is Fred, not the lion Fred.
Oh, the lion
Because
Fred.
you
Did I
named.
name the same animals Fred twice? I like the name Fred apparently. Okay.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Fred was the ant Fred? No, I'm not showing the ant. I'm going with the puppy fails at CPR. Puppy fails at CPR. We think he's trying to help everybody, though his owner may not survive long enough to appreciate his help. But when they try to love us, they love us to death.
They apparently do.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you guys had a good time. I know Maria and I always do. Again, if you are part of the Patreon stuff, we'll be doing the after show backstage behind the scenes party. We're just gonna throw all the words together till we solidify.
There you go. I love it.
And we will see you guys later. Thanks for joining.